Hi guys, Mark and Paulette here.
Mhm.
Um,
In case you didn't already know.
yeah, the two travelers
In
in Mexico. We just want to talk about a couple of things today. One of them is like, three different things that we've noticed, again, which we might have mentioned before, I don't know. And then our upcoming trip that we're going to be taking,
Mhm.
the coronavirus and quarantine is what we're
Mhm.
going to be talking about.
Yeah.
So the first thing that I want to talk about is there's a store here in Mexico. They're all over the place. I think you pronounce it Coppels. It's Coppel. If I'm wrong,
Mhm.
tell me below. Anyhow, it's funny. We purchased a couple of things there. It's kind of like an all of the run everything there, basically, huh?
Yeah.
It's like you can buy from TVs to workout equipment to
To
clothing.
kitchen stuff to furniture.
Yeah, everything,
Mhm.
mattresses. So, and every time that we've purchased something there, like the last thing that I just purchased was a small little 2-part waffle iron. But everything you take it to the counter and you buy it off the shelf.
Right.
It's not like a lot of stores that we're used to in the US where, like you pick something out or it's in the boxes or something like that. Nope, they do
No.
have the boxes sometimes in the back.
Yeah.
And so you just bring that up there, they write it up, you pay for it, they find the box, and then they put it in the box, and then you check it at the door, you have to show them your receipt, and then they stamp it, and then you're good to go.
And away you go. Yeah, we've noticed this at Coppel because we bought a few items there. It might be at other stores too.
I think it is in another store, because we bought that radio somewhere, and I can't remember
Yeah.
where in the heck we bought that. And it was the same thing with that
Right.
too. It was like, you look at it on the shelf and it's yours, you buy
Yeah,
it that
yeah.
way.
You're buying basically the display model.
Yeah, it's interesting,
Yeah.
something that, it happens sometimes in the States, like
Yeah.
that's the last one, and then you'll ask for a discount. And they're pretty good about giving it to you, but not here. That's just the way it works.
What you see is what you get, and you're paying that
Yeah.
price.
The other thing that I wanted to mention is the other day, Mark and I were walking down the main strip here in Morelia, and it was pretty funny. We were hearing one store playing some Pink Floyd,
Yeah.
and then as we continued to walk, then we were hearing some Boy George.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of funny. And then when I got my hair cut, which again, do you like it? When I got my hair cut, the lady was listening to some Lady Gaga. And I wanted to ask, do you really know what they're saying?
Yeah.
Or do you
know the
just like
words?
the beat?
Yeah.
So that's a good question too. I kind of wonder, do they just like the beat of the American music and so they listen to it? Or do they really know what the words are that are playing in that beat? Okay, and then the last thing that I wanted to talk about, was we mentioned before about church bells. And I tell you what, it's not so bad. I think you do get used to it, and they're not as loud as they were when we were saying when we first arrived.
Yeah.
But they start at about 5:30 in the morning, and they go until about 10:30 at night.
Yeah, and sometimes they're every 15 minutes.
I know, I don't get it.
And I've tried to figure it out because the bells ring, sometimes they ring 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 times. Sometimes they only ring a couple times. I've tried to figure out the
Well,
routine.
I think it's more than a couple, but like I've looked at the clock when they've done it, and it's like, sometimes they'll like ring like 15 times. So it's like about 12 or 13 times it'll ring, and then you'll think, okay, well that's it. And then there's like 2 more or 3 more rings in it.
Yeah.
So I don't know, if you understand that,
Yeah.
let us know down below
We've
too.
tried to figure out the pattern, but we haven't been able to figure it out.
There's a lot of
yet.
things we haven't figured out, and it's been 4 months or 4 months here in Mexico.
months, yeah.
So, okay, so the next thing, I'll let Mark take that since I'm talking and my voice is kind of in and out. It does that every now and again. So I'll let him talk about like quarantine and stuff like that, and then we'll talk about our upcoming trip.
Oh yeah, we've gotten a little some comments here and there about the quarantine, and is it Mexico like it is in the United States where people are buying up all the toilet paper and stuff like that. And I mean it happens a a little bit here, but not with nearly the frenzy that I see in videos from the United States. And I don't think they're quite as concerned about quarantining people or self-quarantining here
Not yet anyhow, I don't
as
think.
they are in the U.S. Now they did cancel school for 1 month. However, 2 weeks of that was Easter vacation anyway, so they just canceled
Here in
basically
Mexico?
2 weeks. Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
I know that they are talking about, and I don't know, I haven't gotten
Mhm.
online to see, but I know that they are talking about possibly closing the borders. You
Yeah.
said Guatemala was closed now? Is that what you
yeah, I
said?
believe so.
Um,
I think Costa Rica's doing some stuff too. I'm not
I
sure.
mean,
if
a lot of them, I
they're
mean,
closed.
Italy, you know, is
Yeah.
really in a shutdown there.
But here in Mexico, people they still seem to be kind of taking it in stride. I mean, we did go to a Costco today, and there were people buying, you know,
Toilet paper,
buying toilet paper. But the smallest you can buy is Costco is like 30 rolls to a pack.
right.
So almost everybody we saw had one of those in their carts, and there were a few,
Two,
few
three,
items. Yeah, not too much more
a
than that.
couple of
though.
them had like 4.
Yeah, but a lot of people just had one. But the thing I noticed
had
is
one.
they weren't buying a lot of food items other than that too. So they were stocking up on toilet paper, but not necessarily stocking up on food, which kind of tells me they're not too concerned about quarantine or self-quarantining.
But like I
themselves.
told Mark too, I mean, it's possible that this could have been a last minute thought on, hey, we better stock up on some toilet paper too.
Mhm.
You know, that's always possible.
Now, toilet paper is an important thing to have here in Mexico because a lot of the public restrooms you go into, they don't have any toilet paper anywhere.
Well, a lot of times you have to pay. You pay like 5
So you
pesos,
pay 5 pesos.
and then they
yeah.
give you
Yeah.
a little bit of toilet paper to take in with you.
That's another hint. If you're coming to Mexico and you're gonna go out in public, make sure you carry a few pesos with you in case you have to use the
Yeah.
restroom.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
as far as, quarantine, we've talked about it, and we did buy some non-perishable food items today, to last us maybe a couple of weeks. However, we're going on a pretty fun trip first. It's sort of like a trip of a lifetime.
Mark's
For
bucket
me,
list.
For one of my bucket list
Mhm.
things, we're gonna be going on the El Chepe Copper Canyon train, which I'm really looking forward to. So we figured after we came back from that, it might be a good idea to self-quarantine for a couple of weeks or so.
Right, so that's what we did, is we filled up our cart, and
Mm-hmm.
I put it on our Facebook page of all the stuff that we had, of juices and waters and, non-perishable stuff, and some Oreo
Oreo
cookies,
cookies, yeah.
some bags of chips,
Yeah,
and junk stuff.
There were some guilty pleasure items in that.
Yeah,
today,
well, we
but
figured, if we're gonna be quarantined for 2 or 3 weeks inside,
Might as well get fat too.
well, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
But anyhow, so anyhow, go ahead. I took over the conversation.
Of course. So that's what we're planning. The Copper Canyon trip is like 4 days. We're going to be in Mexico City for 2 nights, one night before we go to Copper Canyon and one night after. Originally, we had planned a longer stay in Mexico City, but we figured we'd just come back here and possibly self-quarantine.
Well, that was the
Just in
plan. The
case.
plan was originally we booked 5 nights. We leave actually Wednesday. We're going to take the bus into Mexico City, stay the night, and then that morning Thursday morning we take we go to the airport from Mexico City. We fly out, and then we fly back on the 23rd, which is I think a Monday. I think we fly back Monday. We get in late, so I booked a hotel there. But I had originally booked another 5 days on top of that, so that we could sightsee in Mexico City.
Yeah.
But
We'll do that another time.
yeah, I'm just thinking I'm not going to cancel this trip because, I'm like 50-50 on the fence.
Mhm.
I really am. I'm like, do you do it? Do you put yourself out there at the airport, on the planes, on the bus? Do you do that? But Mark knows how I am and he can tell you,
Yeah.
right? What are you laughing about?
Oh, just
What?
you being on the fence about the
No, the other
the
thing,
haircuts.
what, and why are we not gonna cancel also because of what?
Oh,
This
because
is me.
it's an expensive, non-refundable trip
Right,
at this point.
Right.
And Paulette being cheap, she's willing to roll the dice on
cheap,
that.
thrifty, thank
Uh,
you, I'm thrifty,
So,
yeah.
a little side story to tell you. When we were in Ecuador one time, we rode a bus, we gone to the
Oh,
Devil's
geez.
Nose train. Anyway, we got back
That was
out
something
to
I
the
really
road.
wanted to do.
We got back
So-
out, rode the bus, got on the bus. The bus driver was just crazy, but they do that
Crazy.
in Ecuador and all over
Crazy.
the place. And it was probably about a 40 to 45 minute bus ride back to where we were staying. She spent about 43 minutes of that praying that we weren't going to go over the side
Oh,
in
Lord,
a fiery
please,
bus
God.
crash. So after we got to the end and we'd gotten off the bus, and I think she got out and kissed the ground actually, but I'd asked her, would you rather taken the $15 cab ride or the harrowing praying for your life bus ride back? And she said, oh, the bus ride. So
I'm bad like that, I
Yeah.
am. And so this trip, like I said, it was pretty expensive in my book. And so, you know, it covers our airfare, it covers the days there, it covers hotel stays. It didn't cover the bus getting there and the bus coming back, not
Yeah.
that transportation. But you can't cancel and get a refund or a credit. So I'm not willing to roll the dice on that and lose that kind of money. I'm just
Yeah.
not.
yeah,
And I think, you know, we're pretty healthy. I think we'll be fine. We take like 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C regularly. I've kind of looked at stuff to know what to do if you start getting a sore throat, because they say that's how it starts off, is a sore throat, and to gargle with vinegar and water or salt water to beat it. And then if you start getting congested, then use a humidifier with hydrogen peroxide and water. So that's our go-to if, you know,
Yeah.
if we start feeling under the weather. But
Yeah.
I really think we'll be fine. I really do. I'm not worried about it.
yeah, I'm not worried about it either. We are probably going to take the precautionary measure of self-quarantining for a couple weeks after
But we
come back
are,
from
not
the trip.
probably, we are.
Yeah,
Because
Yeah.
that's the right thing to do to other, you know, other people out there too. So, you know, I did put out there on one of the Facebook pages, I asked a question a couple of days ago about, you know, hey, I live in Mexico and we're gonna be doing this trip, and, you know, what do you guys think? Do you think I'm crazy to still do it or what? Oh my gosh, I must have got over 100 replies, and people were not being very nice.
yeah.
I mean, they were saying some things, and you're being selfish, and you're only thinking of yourself, and, you know, what about all these old people out there, you know, and I'm thinking, I'm 60, I'm
Yeah.
old, you know, I mean, I could be one of those people too, but, you know, at the same time, I think the mainstream media is blowing this way out of proportion. I mean, yes, is there a virus? Yes. You know, is it hitting a lot of people? Yes. Does the flu also hit people on a yearly basis? Yes. You know, do a lot of people die from the flu? Yes.
Yes.
You know, so I don't know. You know, I read a lot of stuff. I don't really know exactly. I'm 50-50 on the fence on this whole thing. But I'm also not gonna stop living my life either and not do stuff. I mean, I'm just not gonna do it. I'm gonna be responsible about it. We're gonna do this. We're gonna go to the airport where there's people. There's tons of people today in Costco alone.
Costco, yeah.
I mean, it felt like it was an airport.
Yeah, no one was maintaining the 6-foot perimeter or whatever it is that you're supposed to maintain.
6 foot, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, it was just one of the things they talked about, maintaining a 6-foot distance from one person.
Well, I
to
heard
another.
like things could travel like 6
Yeah.
feet, you know, like maybe from,
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so that's our take on, you know, the coronavirus, on self-quarantining yourself, on our trip that's coming up, and all of that. Now, unfortunately, there were gonna be other friends that were gonna be going on this trip too.
Right, and they've decided to cancel.
Yeah, they decided that they're gonna go ahead and cancel. They say that it's basically too risky.
Mhm.
So they're canceling, and I don't know if that means all of the other 6 people that were gonna be going are canceling too.
Yeah, we don't know.
And it's just Mark and I. If it is, you know what? So
Yeah.
be it. You know, we're gonna have a good time anyhow. We always do, and
Yeah,
you know, it'll be good, and we're gonna do video coverage on it, and then we get back and we're self-quarantined, then we'll go ahead and work on our
work on the
videos,
videos, yeah.
and then start putting those out so you guys can see them.
So you might not see a video from us for about a week or so.
Yeah, about a week, because we fly back next
Mhm.
Monday night, and then we're gonna stay the night in Mexico City, and then Tuesday, we're gonna take the bus back
Yeah.
to Morelia.
Yeah,
So anyhow, out of sight, out of mind, but don't forget us, still love us, still watch our videos, because we still love you guys.
yeah,
And hopefully you guys are enjoying our videos, and if you have any comments or anything, you know, or places that you want us to check out, or things that you, I don't know, don't think that we're saying right, or, you know, we get the name wrong or something like that, then let us know.
mhm.
You know, because we're just 2 gringos here in Mexico that are trying to figure stuff out on our own too.
Yeah, yeah.
So, oh, and one thing that I did want to mention is there is a group here where we're at that do regular get-togethers and stuff, like coffee and dinners and stuff like that. And they've decided to cancel all that. All of that is on hold
Yeah,
until I think the end of April, they said.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's on hold. They're not doing any more social events.
mhm. But
So-
that's fine. That's,
Yeah.
you know, they're just being safe. It's also a group of older people, and I think generally they're older than we are. Without giving away ages, we'll just say that much.
You
So,
better hope they don't watch our video.
well, I didn't call out anybody specifically.
Well, I think they're in our age range, okay? We
Uh-huh.
might be, you know, maybe the youngest in there, I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyhow, so, you know, that's totally understandable. We get it.
Mhm.
So,
All right, well, I think that's about all. So
that's a wrap from 2 Travelers in Mexico.
if you like what we're doing, please subscribe, click on the bell to be notified every time
And
we put out a new video.
every time we put out a new video.